It's pretty much delayed.
Here we go.
There we go.
There we go. We're actually live.
Wait.
Hey.
Hey. Oh,
We
Are
made
we on here? I don't see us.
I don't see us.
We're not on the screen.
Here we come. Here we come.
it's
We popped on and then we disappeared. Yeah, let's still calm down.
hello.
There we go. There we go.
Hello.
Thinking, what's happened?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We were having. I was the
Yeah.
result of the technical difficulties that we were having, so that was me. So how about we go through and say hi to some people? Try to get everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, Sadhana. Thank you. Ooh, Kristen Louise, Empress Tarot is here.
Ooh.
Patrice, hello.
Yes.
Jamie,
Selkie.
hello. Selkie, hello.
Hi.
I see Robin. Hi, Robin.
Yes. Hi, Robin.
Yeah.
Hi, Ishti.
And
Simon.
Yes.
the Hermit's Cave. Hello, friend. Patrice.
Yeah.
Hi, Patrice.
hey,
Elle-
Elle.
Elle's here.
And
Then
Gina.
Zane.
We've got the crowd.
Yeah.
And
Hello,
Yeah.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Brittany's here.
Hey, Debbie.
And,
Debbie just came in too.
Al is here. That's awesome. Zane's
Hey,
here.
Naomi.
V. Kestrel, Selkie, so many people. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely Chris.
So
Thank you, everybody. So, wow.
I don't know where to look. Like I'm trying to look at the camera, but then I want to look at you people.
I
So
know, it's hard.
yeah.
Struggle is real.
Your moderator should be there, Chris. So
yeah,
there
you're a
it
mod.
is. Okay,
Chris.
now he corrects himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
He says, "Where's his moderator mustache?"
He wanted his moderator thing, so he's like, there it is. Hannah wants to know what's around my neck. So what's
Hi,
around
Diane.
my neck?
Deanne, sorry.
What's around my neck is
Naomi.
a collection
Naomi.
of quartz points that I picked up because I like it, and it's just one of those things like boom. So that's what's around my neck. Brienne's
Gorgeous,
here. What?
I said it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hey, Patrice, Mandy.
Okay.
So what's up?
So
See, oh, Mendy's here. Hi, Mendy. Hi, Brienne.
nice people.
Deanne.
this is wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so Zane couldn't be here, so here's his image from his tarot deck, the Zany tarot. So I thought,
Yeah. He's going to be a little quiet today. Yeah.
Yeah.
he's gonna be a little quiet, but he is he's actually needed something in life came up, and we're going to miss him, but we certainly understand. And he's in chat sending hearts, so that's wonderful.
We feel it, Zane. We feel it.
Yeah.
Yes. So how did this happen?
So
Ow.
yeah, it was simultaneously like me, you, and Richard all at the same time had the same idea. So
yeah. Because Richard and I, when we did, I was on a live with him on Longman Tarot, and we were talking about well-being and how we're handling things in the pandemic. And then I posted a video about, I wonder what would happen, let's have a conversation about this. So, and at that time, Kristen and Richard were talking, and Sandra reached out to me also in an email after my video. But so we're all interested in our well-being and how our well-being is doing. So is that a fair assessment? Anybody want to add anything?
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, and I think we're all interested in the idea of being willing to talk about it and to end the stigma, to not think that you have to be happy all the time or have to be getting everything right all the time, and being willing to speak about such things without feeling shame or like you should be perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely. And hey, Jackie.
Yeah.
Jackie's
and to be willing to reach out, to be willing to reach out to people who can offer support. Some people can't because where they are in their life or their skill sets, but it's about creating conversation to see who can be, there for whom, and to be able to have those conversations.
And just to share ideas, to
Share
share what
ideas.
works for us and to hear what works from people in chat if they want to share that, because you never know what might spark somebody to try something new or to think, wow, I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
And because this is just one of, this is just the introduction. Like, we have more of these planned on specific topics and, yes, break that stigma, and talk about our own personal experiences.
That's right. Robin suggested that we all not talk over each other because he said it's like watching The View.
We're trying.
Which is a TV show.
Yeah, we're trying.
So I think that's funny. So anyhow, so I have a couple of things. One is we're using the hashtag working towards well-being. And if anybody feels a need to jump on in their own channel, feel free to use that hashtag. We're trying to be as respectful as possible because each of us are sharing our personal experiences. And this is not to take the place of seeking medical advice. And asking for help is a good thing, and we actually provided below links to different organizations in the UK, in the United States, and Australia for places that you can go to if you need help, if you need professional help. So feel free with that to do that. And I would like... let's start with an introduction. Oh, and all of our channels are linked below so that you can follow along. And I'm going to start with Kristen for a brief introduction about yourself and one thing that you're grateful for.
My name's Kristen, obviously. And I'm from Ohio, and my channel is Kristen Louise Empress Tarot. And one thing that I'm grateful for is probably all of you. Like, I think this community is great, and it really helped me. Even though I'm an introvert, I think it really got me through this past year. It gave me that outlet, that community, that human contact.
Great. So, Chris put in there, Kristen's fucking fabulous.
That's why he wanted wrench. That's why
I'm like going, dang, how are the rest of us going to deal with that? Thank you, Patrice. Patrice said, what a wonderful panel. So here, And but see, there it is. So,
Love it.
oh, anyhow, so Jilly, would you do an introduction and one thing you're grateful for?
I am Jilly. Little Zen Crone is my channel name. Most of you know that I've been on YouTube for a little while now, and I am a wife and a mom to 4 kids, 4 grown kids now. The last one's just getting ready to go off on his own. I am a grandma to 4 beautiful grandchildren. My oldest grandchild is 17. I can't even believe it. And I am an ordained Soto Zen priest. And one thing that I am grateful for, honestly, is my dog today, to the Budster. He gives me joy every day. He makes me laugh and generally makes me yell.
Okay, thank you,
I love you. Stop it.
Miss Sandra.
Okay, I'm Sandra, and I have the channel The Whispering Well. Been on YouTube a couple of years, I think it is now. Anyway, and I guess, well, straight away I know what I'm grateful for, and that is good friends. Because without that, in the last couple of years, I don't know personally where I would be now without good friends and without this community.
Thank you. Yeah, Richard.
I'm Richard from Longman Tarot. I'm in the UK, in the southeast part of the UK. I'm a maths teacher at secondary school by day and tarot slinger by night. When I was thinking about what I'm grateful for, there's so many things. I really couldn't pick one. But I'm going to go with my 2 cats because they have kept me entertained. They've given me unconditional love through the whole of the lockdown period in the UK. And each day is special because they are in my lives.
Great, thank you. Boy, chat's going really quickly. So, Sandra, you're loved. Ella's here, Richard. I agree, Simon. Friends are everything.
Yeah, agree, Simon.
Okay, Sandra, there's a lot
Yes.
of praise for you, so hold up. I mean, but Sandra is like the best. I mean, it's like ASMR walkthroughs. It's like,
Yes.
oh, it's lovely. It's lovely.
Sandra is the ASMR voice of tarot.
Yes.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Justin. Hi,
Justin's
Kim.
here. Kim's here. So, all right. So, Jen, introduction and one thing you're grateful for.
Thank you, Patrice.
Okay, so, well, I'm Jen from Jen Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation, also known as Aussie Jen, Future Jen, Tomorrow Jen, Hen Henry, like, I just answer to anything. And I'm definitely grateful, for support. And that's not just because of what we're doing, it's definitely because of where I've been at, in, the last over 12 months, but, particularly the last couple of months. And having the support in my life, like from my husband and all of that, my parents, but also having the support of each one of you on the panel, people in the chat, TarotTube in general, just, on the days where I've had no energy and felt like shit, to know that I can go there and see people that I love and adore has kept me sane. So that's definitely what I'm grateful for.
Excellent. My name is Gerald, and I have other names that how I'm known. Tarot Stash, Tarot Sachet, but that's a different story. I live in Ohio. I don't know where Kristen lives, but we're probably close to each other.
Yeah, we live in the same city.
Yeah, we live in the same city. One thing I am grateful for is my weighted blanket. I have started sleeping with a weighted blanket, and I sleep so much better with that. So we've had a few more people come in. Brant's here, and everybody loves Sandra, he said. Justin showed up. Sadhana shared that she is am overwhelmed with community, with life, and so grateful for all of you, the forest, and yoga. So I can't argue with that. So that's lovely. So I probably missed some other chat. Okay, so I'm getting used to it. So we're trying to pay attention to chat as best as we can. If you have something you want us to know, please put it in caps or tag one of us. Anything that you all have to say before I start with the first question?
I guess we could tell people some ideas that we had as far as future videos. And I think the next one's going to be, like, we're going to do them every other week. And the first one is going to be on the quarantine. And I don't have the list on who's going to be in which video. But the first one's the quarantine. The second one is going to be on managing and recovering from trauma, which Sandra and Zane will be on. And then I can't remember what the one after that, I think, is body image. Yeah, body image. And then what's after that?
Self-compassion.
Yeah.
Self-compassion. So I think those are all the ones we have so far. Or is there another one?
That's what we have.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and okay, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh, I was going to say, and if this is successful, if the conversations go well and people respond positively to it, we're going to continue. We'll come up with different ideas. Like one idea that I had was doing one on ADHD. And some of the videos, if we, want to invite someone else on, we might reach out to other people. We're not sure yet. But yeah, that's what I have to say.
And I think just to reiterate, like, I know, Gerald, that you spoke to the fact that, this isn't about, professional advice. It does not replace that. But it is just knowing that we're not here to tell people what to do or how to be or, what is in your best interest. Like, if what we say helps, then awesome. But this is coming from just our own personal experiences and what's worked for us, what hasn't. So right. Just bearing that in mind, I think is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I am putting up a definition from the Oxford English Dictionary about well-being. Well-being, the state of being or doing well in life, happy, healthy, prosperous condition. Oh my gosh, can't read. Anyhow,
moral or physical welfare.
Thank you. Or physical. Thank you. Sorry. This was my big fear about doing this live, people. I'm okay. So
you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're here with friends.
I know. It's really important. So I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. So how's that for a moment? So I'm gonna, Jilly, I'm gonna start with you with this first question.
Okay.
And the first question is, how can you tell when you need to pay attention to your well-being?
Well, that is an interesting and kind of auspicious question, because to be quite honest, I'm not in a good place right now. And I want to say that as a person and as a woman and as a priest, because I think sometimes people think that, you know, people have to be perfect. And I think I have to be perfect. So I'm not in a good place right now. And I think, you know, the smile and the laughing belies that. You know, you think, to look at me, people would think, oh, she's great, she's got it together. And not so much over the past week. We are about 21 days of snow warnings and or ice warnings every day, not very much sun at all, and a pandemic, and I'm just kind of over the whole thing. But back to the question. One of the first things that I notice is that I get, I'm either over emotional. I'm over a lot of things. I'm over emotional. I overthink things, or I'm over irritable. Like irritable, not like, I'm usually pretty steady. So if I get bitchy, that's a definite way that I know that I'm not taking care of myself the way I should. Also, I've really, over the past just few months, I've been reading a book talking about identifying what happens physically to me or to anyone. But so for me, I could also have a feeling of, literally, like that feeling of being in free fall and not being able to like get a grasp of stuff, or just that feeling, that feeling in your stomach. That's a technical term. And so those are all big keys to me. Also, if I do not feel like exercising, and if I can't decide on silly things like what do I want to watch on TV, or, you know, silly things like that.
Okay. May I ask you a follow-up question?
You may.
How soon do you notice that? Does it go on for like 2 weeks? Do you notice it
no.
like, okay.
No, not 2 weeks. Oh gosh, like, I'll say if it's more than, everybody has an off day every now and then, right? But if it's more than 48 hours and I've noticed it and I'm doing stuff to help myself and I'm still in that place, then I know I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. Robin Toadstool Tarot has asked, Jilly, are you able to turn to your Buddhist practice when you're feeling unwell?
Yes. Yes, and that has been a huge, I've said in many videos that there were 3 things that really pulled me out of the deep depression that I was in many years ago. And one of them was exercise. The second one was I had a really good therapist and good pharmaceuticals. And the third was my Zen practice. So that's just like, my Zen practice is just part of who I am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sandra, how about you? How can you tell you need to pay attention to your well-being?
I will get some kind of physical hints, as well as the sort of maybe more of the sort of mental health ones. What I'll tend to get, if I know that I'm getting towards that very anxious point, I will get, and it's really hard to describe, where you can hear your heart pounding in your ears all the time. And that's like a trigger thing for me, because if I'm in a more relaxed state, that doesn't happen. So that will tell me straight away. But also, I'll get where I'll maybe get up in the morning and just feel sad, and just the feeling of like sadness. I will get that. I will also have trouble sleeping and have like constant nightmares, like every single night, like very vivid. I've even woke up screaming before. And also, I know when I start overthinking, I always overthink, but I'll overthink more so. I'll worry more and be thinking about what other people think about me. And then I have to be really careful, because what it will then go to is thoughts of self-harm for me.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that honesty. I appreciate that. Neem showed up. Jen's Balanced Tarot showed up. Pamela's here. So, and
Hi, everyone.
yeah, this is great. And Angela from Tiny Trinkets and Tarot. So, if you want to, I will, when we're done, I will actually post these questions in the comments. So if you want to follow along, if you want to answer on your own, you can. You can feel free to add them in the comments. So that's why I have it there. So, Richard, how can you tell when you need to pay attention to your well-being?
Usually I don't see it coming from a mile off. Suddenly it will just hit me, and I can just wake up feeling tearful or very emotional about other bits and pieces that are going on. And it's about functioning and trying to function. I lose interest in almost everything that I have as an interest and a hobby. I can't read. I kind of superficially watch television, but I'm always kind of on my phone or just not listening to the plot. Often I have to rewind the TVs to find out actually what was going on. I get very, very irritable, and I'm quite a placid person normally, but when I go, and it can be the smallest thing that triggers it, from, I don't know, something falling over on the floor, something falling out the cupboard or something like that. And I will swear and get really, really irate about it for absolutely no reason at all. And another one that I've noticed recently is when I'm at work or perhaps with a group of people, I zone out completely. So even with a family, I can be on chat or talking to them. At the moment, we're talking on Zoom quite a lot. And I'll just completely zone out and be thinking about all the things that are going on in my head, and completely miss conversations, and actually take myself out of that conversation. And when that's at work, I quite often have to have, sorry, I missed that. What was it? That important piece of information. So I've noticed that's a really important trait, and a sign that I really need to be paying attention to it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Kristen.
Well, it's kind of hard to answer because I'm not very good at self-care in general. So it can be very subtle, the shift between my usual lack of self-care and when it gets worse. I guess one of the things is irritability. I stop using tarot, so I just won't pay attention to it. I'll just scroll on social media and just over and over and over again. I won't be productive, and so I'll be looking at the same posts for no reason. I'm sure some people know, they've seen one of my videos where I talk about my recovery from an eating disorder. And while it's been a while, before, like if my depression was getting bad or there's like a lot of anxiety, I would turn to the behaviors. So I had a purging disorder. And so I would eat too much or just eat a normal meal, and the anxiety would just start welling up and welling up. And so then I would, purge. And people often don't realize that it sort of acts that the purging actually changes the brain. It sort of works on, it sort of is like a high. And so it sort of eases that anxiety. And so I would partake in those. Those are very destructive behaviors. I would stop watching my hair, or, you know, more subtle things like that. But I mean, that was a big red light, those behaviors. But I mean, it's been a while, you know, I'm recovered. So, but yeah, those things.
Beautiful. Thank you. Miss Jen, how can you tell you need to pay attention to your well-being?
You know, you think this question would be so basic and simple to answer, but there are so many factors to mind. Like, there's the general, you know, I've had anxiety for, oh God, I can't even remember how long. Before I was even a psychologist, which is largely managed compared to like at the beginning. But, you know, and so there's those general sort of anxiety and depressive states, which, I mean, the anxiety is an obvious one. You know, my heart will start to race. It's just that overthinking, can't get out of your thoughts, all of that sort of stuff. The panic, I'll get agitated with that. And, you know, then on top of that, for me, you know, and I've talked to it before, there's the hormonal stuff, you know, that has gotten worse and worse over the years as time has gone on for me, and been really bad this year. So, you know, the indicator of that for me, again, it's just like I get very agitated inside. Small things make me even more anxious. I get quite angry inside as well. And I really withdraw. Withdrawal in all of these things is probably my number one indicator that, you know, I need to be paying more attention. And then, you know, on top of that, and I've talked to it a little bit too, is that right now, health-wise, like, I'm super low in iron, which is impacting not just my physical well-being, but my mental well-being as well. And all the hormonal stuff on top of that, it's making all of that worse. So, you know, and with that, before I even realized it was like, why can't I get out of bed early anymore? Like, I'm a 3:30, 4 a.m. wake up girl. And it was just like, all of a sudden I couldn't do that. I couldn't get up. I couldn't wake up. And it was that fear of, oh shit, am I going into like a depression stage? And even now, even though I know the explanation for it, there's still these days of asking, is it the low iron? Is it the hormones? Is it the anxiety? Is it, you know, this depressive thing? So it's not an easy question for me to answer, because all of those present in different ways to me. But I guess one of the overall factors is I withdraw, I stop talking. But then if there's built up anger inside, you know, it's generally my poor husband who will cop the outlash when it finally does burst. So I know if I'm not talking to him, if I'm not getting it off my chest, if I'm not talking to other people, that's a pretty big indicator, and something I'm still working on to sort of try and break. So I know that was a really long-winded answer, but there's so many different factors for me that, you know, that there's so many different signs that tell me I need to be paying attention.
Gerald, do you mind if I just say one thing? I want to say, if I know that you need to go as well, but I'll forget. I think one thing that Jen brought up that's really important too is that sometimes we can feel depressed and it's not it's a physical thing. And so, you know, to not necessarily wake up in the morning, you know, if this goes on and on, you know, if you're a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into something and thinking, oh my gosh, you know, is this depression? It may be, but it may not be. And either way, it's really good to seek medical attention.
Yeah.
And something Richard said too about functioning. That was when I was really in the depths. I felt like I was walking through mud. I felt like to walk from, I mean, really just to walk even out into the hallway from my bedroom, a span of like 8 or 10 feet, say, I just felt like I was walking through mud.
Yeah.
My knees.
Yeah, my fibromyalgia gets worse, so everything begins to hurt. And yeah, I had a question for you, Jen. Do you have PMDD? Have you?
Not diagnosed, but I definitely meet all the criteria for it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember what that stands for, but do you remember?
Premenstrual dysmorphic disorder. But the other side of that is, you know, I'm being told that the extreme iron deficiency could actually be playing into all of this. So we'll see when that gets fixed as to what happens with the rest of it. But yeah.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that, and that's an important thing that in listening to this group of people and seeing some of the chat. Sometimes our well-being is, I mean, it's a physical thing that is causing us to not be well, and then you put on top of that emotional things or mental struggles. So that's really powerful, and I appreciate that, and I think we are all, I mean, the fact that all of us are considering this question and taking it really seriously shows our willingness to model the importance of self-awareness for everyone. And it looks different. It looks different for me depending upon the actual time of the year, to be honest with you. I think, you know, for me is, I can tell that my well-being needs attention is I don't do the dishes. I hate dishes. I literally hate dishes. I don't like doing dishes. But when they get up, when they just go, and it's just a wait. One more dish, and then it's just like, oh gosh, it's just that small thing that does. The other thing that I do is I sleep a lot. I am a nap master. I can, you know, you give me 20 minutes and I can take a nap, and it's lovely. But when I was on with Becca with Zane, something I said, you know, she asked, how are you doing with the quarantine? I'm like, well, I'm putting on pants now, which, you know, that sounds like a joke, but for a long time, why bother getting dressed? Who cares? You know, I'm not going anywhere. Big deal. So, but and I watch that comfort TV. You know, just put it on repeat. So,
and I know I just have to point out that, like, you know, Robin commented on, he feels really overwhelmed right now making a start on like sorting his apartment and knowing that if he did it, it would be good, but the overwhelm's too much. And I think that that's a huge thing, and that's definitely something that we will cover in upcoming lives that we do, like under the self-compassion and all of that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Richard, what were you going to add, sir?
Yeah, I was just going to say that for me, and I think the stories always follows through, is just how tiring having these different conditions are. And as you say, it's like walking through treacle or mud, or just the whole process of having to get up and deal with it. It is just so exhausting. And you have to give yourself that time to sleep and recuperate. And it's about knowing, when can I get out of bed? Should I get out of bed and all that? But the sleeping side of it all should never be sort of underestimated, and how tiring it actually always seems to make people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to do a quick run through of the chat, because it's been active and some people are chatting. So Sadhana wants to, she's totally up for a VR to these questions. So if anybody wants to join her, let her know. Meme loves Sandra. And so sorry. Yeah, Robin is like, I've been finding when I feel down that focusing on others seems to pull me out of myself. I don't know if that means I wasn't truly depressed in the first place. I wouldn't say that, Robin. I say you know something that helps pull you out of where you are and put you in something. Jen is going like this. So, Ishi Jelly is awesome. So,
I have a hard time with that.
I know you do.
Thank you, Ishi. So I'm learning to say thank you to that. And I don't want to get emotional, but I'm just a person, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling the way everybody else does. And I've been able to work through, and I continue to, and I know that, this time does not last, but I'm really like, thank you. But I feel like I'm just a regular person.
I get that, Jilly, and the fact that you're letting us know that it's hard for you is beautiful, actually. So, okay, so I'm trying to go through blah 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 blah. So,
and Julie,
Angela,
also all of us who you support and who you help us to see our light and our positive qualities. We're just normal people too, So that doesn't make us less special.
Thanks, Anne.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. Question 2. We're going to start with Jen. So part of the reason we're doing this is to really build us awareness and a support system. So what does support look like for you?
Again, so many levels to it. It is things like within my own home, it's having a husband who just listens. Even if I don't know what's wrong, as long as I pull myself out of that stubborn, I'm not talking or opening up to anyone kind of shit that I talked of, it's just having someone who'll just listen without trying to fix it, without trying to change it, who's just okay to sit and hear me go, I feel like crap, or I feel angry, or I'm really anxious and I don't know why, and then I guess it's the support of getting the advice of other people too, and that's both from him, so in his words, but also his physical support and how much he does. If I am in that really bad space, like with anxiety or overwhelm at the moment, energy-wise, this is the first day I have actually done my hair. Since the last time anyone would have seen me on YouTube. It's, yeah, all that physical stuff he's trying to help me with at the moment because he knows how overwhelmed and frustrated I am with not having energy. It's, a big support is Julie as a friend, but also Julie as Kyoji, so my Zen Buddhist teacher. And it's having my Buddhist practice that's very new to me as well, but having that support from Kyoji to work me through that to help myself. It is having support of so many people in this community. Like I could sit here for ages and talk about, the different things, the different ways people in this community have helped me, people I've gone to. And I have spoken to it on my channel and all of that before, and then it is the medical support as well. That's really important to, like, I hear so many people talk about the cost of getting help, and I get that, and I totally understand that. But if it means that you have to not buy 3 or 4 tarot decks so that you can go and get professional help, or go pay for a test that you need, or, go see a counselor or psychologist or psychiatrist, then it's worth that. And a big thing that support, I do see it as being a support thing, is I have to be willing to want to help myself. I may not know what to do. I may not know how to get myself out of the shit moment that I'm in and what's going on. But I know I have these resources. I know I have people in this community I can go to. I have Kyoji as, my Zen priest and teacher. Other people who I can go to for different things, both physical and, more emotional and psychological. But I have to be the one who actually wants to get the support, is that number one thing. Nothing's going to change if I don't do that. And I'm trying, and I've been trying for years, and I'm still not there, but I'm still going to keep trying because I want to, So yeah, I could probably go on and on and on, but I think I've rambled enough about that one.
I think you're saying words that are meaning a lot to people in the chat. So that's, that's good. Kristen, what does support look like for you?
What does support look like to me? Well, I mean, there's different forms, and it depends on where I'm at with my mental health. Like, if it's just lack of self-care, just being lazy about, thinking about myself and taking care of myself, that's one. If I'm going through something difficult, or I'm just having like a really bad period, that's another. And then if my mental illness is really bad, like I have major depression, it's not something I could just, it's not stinking thinking. It's not something I can just easily lift myself out of. And so those are different things. But one thing that helps me in all 3 categories is laughter. And if someone, I don't like talking about myself a ton. Like, give me 5 minutes to vent or tell you what I'm going through, and to experience like non-judgmental presence. Like, if someone can just have a healing, non-judgmental presence while I'm talking about it, that's wonderful. But I can't talk about it too long. And if someone can make me laugh, they can distract me and make me laugh. That is a big gift. That's a big gift for me. So that's one big thing. And one thing is really accountability. And I know, like, speaking to what Jen said, she's like, you got to do the work yourself. You have to do it yourself. But I know sometimes I need a kick in the butt. I need someone say, you know what? You're not taking care of yourself. You know, you need to do X, Y, and Z that you used to do, you know, and I see you're not doing it. And so things like that, little things like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's, you know, again, I think lots of things people are saying in chat. They're holding space is a gift. So, and Robin is like, laughter triggers endorphins. So,
Yes.
really powerful. Hey, Richard, what's support look like for you?
That's interesting, because when I was thinking about this, I don't actually think I know what the answer is for me. I've reached out at bad times to people, and I've been fortunate that the people who I've reached out to have responded in a brilliant way. That has meant that when I'm at work particularly, I have had regular check-ins. I can go and talk to them. I can message them anytime, day or night. And that's just been fantastic. That has, of course, once you start feeling better, you feel like you don't want to keep putting so much on people. And so what happens is I tend to back away from the support because I think, oh, I'm okay now. And then, of course, the next time the next cycle comes around and slaps you in the face, you either have to go back to the person or find a new way of coping and finding the support. I mean, I have been to the doctors, so I have been on medication. I'm now off medication there, so I'm trying to find other ways of dealing with the support. But for me, I'm very cautious at the moment about talking to people. I have to be really certain that when I'm offloading, I'm not just offloading a problem onto somebody else who is then going to have to possibly pick up the pieces or become part of it themselves, if that makes sense. And that's the bit I'm trying to work with. That's the bit I'm trying to, you know, think about what does my new support bubble look like? What does my new scaffold look like for the people around me? And people are always so generous, and they always say, oh, phone me or contact me anytime, day or night. And for me personally, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to find the people that I trust. And the rest of all my friends and all my family and everyone else are there to keep me happy, to keep me buoyed up. And that's something I'm working on at the moment. And that's quite an honest thing to have to say, is that I'm not sure that I'm in a place where my support is there at the moment, if that makes sense. But like Kristen said, comedy is so important for me, and for me particularly to step out of myself. So when I'm mixing with other people or talking to other people, I put on the face, I put on the laugh, I put on the jokes to hide what's going on under the surface. And for me, that's a coping mechanism. It does release the endorphins and all the feel-good chemicals that just give you a lift to get you through the next few hours potentially. So that's my coping mechanisms.
But I also think that it's really important that you spoke up and said that, Richard, that you don't know what it really looks like at the moment. It just goes to show everyone has these different levels, like, you know, and there's lots of comments in chat as well about people talking about the go-to is to shut down, which is one of my big ones too. And even though I know how destructive it is, it's still my first go-to. And I'm working towards it. You're at the place where you're working towards just working on what your support actually is going to look like. And I think it's important to know that for everyone who listens to this and partakes, that we're not talking about this because we have the answers. We're talking about it because it's important that people know they're not alone.
Absolutely. And going through this at all the times, and you know, you can look at you can look at somebody and go, oh, I wish I was like them, and oh, they seem to have got their stuff sorted. And you know, in your heart of hearts, you know, if you scratch beneath the surface, we're all going to be going through our own, particularly at the moment with what's going on in the world, we're all going to be going through our own problems. And I think you've got to be, for me particularly, just got to be honest with yourself, and just go, do you know what? I feel shit today. And today is just going to be a bad day. I will try and pull myself out of it. But do you know what? I'm allowed to have a shit day, and just go with that. Yeah. And just as brass tacks and basic as that. And then find ways of making, you know, trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Starting from the ground upwards.
Mm-hmm. And I guess to add on just to my thing is like seeing a doctor is what support looks like to me. You know, seeing a therapist is what support looks like to me. Or I actually got on medication that finally, like I don't feel depressed. You know, I'm good now, because after about 15 years of struggling with depression and trying all these medications with these horrible side effects that didn't work, I finally found, you know, the medications that work. And I found, you know, being healthier, eating healthier, taking the supplements and the vitamin D and all that stuff, and just getting a whole holistic treatment plan for it was what support looks like to me.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it goes back to that idea of is that support looks different for all of us. And it doesn't matter that, you know, that what works for Richard isn't going to work for me, and what works for me isn't going to work for Sandra or Jilly. It is what it is, because we're individuals. Just as when we know that we need to pay attention to our well-being, it looks different for all of us, because I'm going to use the term, we're all normal human beings, and this is the human experience. It can be confusing. So, Sandra, are you willing to answer next? What does support look like for you?
Right, I'm going to be like completely like honest here. Is I don't really have support actually around me, not what you would call support, because what I've had come back at me when I've had problems with anxiety, problems with depression, is very negative things like, will you just snap out of it? Stop crying. How old are you? That type of thing. So support for me is my friends. Because I don't have within my actual day-to-day life proper support. I have, obviously I do take medication, so I have the support of a doctor, although it's not been very good during the quarantine, because obviously doctors, well, here they're not seeing patients. It's only over Zoom or something like this, or on a phone call. And what I tend to do is just back away from everything, go into myself, don't go into any live chats, which is not good, because when I do go into those lives, or I do talk to friends, then it does make you feel a bit better, even if it's just for a bit. But sometimes I just can't bring myself to do that. Or I'll sit and just, this is going to sound really bad, sit and just stare out of the window for a long time. And that's just it. And I have animals at home, my cats. Now, they are like support for me as well, because they know as soon as there's something wrong, they're there. They know, and they're sitting on me the whole time. They won't leave me alone. They won't. Yeah. But I don't have support that perhaps other people do in that way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people have agreed with you, Sandra. You know, the snap out of it and stop crying. It's like, it's just, it doesn't help at all. So Candy is here and she's sending you much love. Sadhana says, you know, hold those kitties, because isn't it amazing? I you know, many of us have animals, and boy, they know. They are in my business. So, but yeah. Julie, did I already ask you what support looks like for you?
No.
What does support look like for you?
Support. I loved what Kristen said about it, about a holistic approach, because that's very much what it's been for me too, and what it continues to be. You know, I've got like all of these little prongs: my nutrition, my supplements. I'm very blessed not to be on medication at the moment, but when I was, it was that. Neem, and she said that she loves therapy and that she advocates for it. I'm with you, Neem. I'm, you know, go to therapy. It's great. But like Pen said, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to be honest with a therapist, and you have to be ready. You have to want to do the work. You have to want to really work hard at getting well. And then to know that, you know, once you're dismissed from therapy, that it's not, yay, I'm done, because no, it's a lifelong thing that we continue to do. I really like what Richard said about friends and about the trust factor. I have very few trusted friends that I would say anything to. And part of that is because I've been burned. You know, I have vented and been burned. So I have very few trusted friends. One of them is my very best friend of, gosh, I think 20 years now, who lives in Ohio, and we've been through a lot together. But I really do appreciate those very few people that I know that I can count on.
Mm-hmm.
And a hug from Mr. Honey is always nice.
Yes. Yes. Robin actually posted, such a shame that pandemic and the distance between us prevents me from giving you a big hugs.
Aww.
You all big hugs. So
us too, Robin.
Yeah.
And Mom also says, yeah, exactly. The session isn't over at the 45-minute mark. The work is ongoing. And it is. And it doesn't mean we always want to do it. Like, I am a bloody psychologist who's sitting here saying, hey, I got shit too, people. Like, I know the things to do, but I've still got the shit going on. And there are times I don't want to do the work. I don't, because I'm exhausted. But, you just have to go, all right, I fucked up there. I'm going to start again tomorrow. You know, It definitely doesn't end after one conversation, 1 hour of physical exercise, the 45, 50 minutes of being with a therapist. And it's hard. It is hard work.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. You know, one other thing that we, way back when, actually got a dog to get me out of the house, because I knew I would have to walk the dog. And that's just kind of, we've had a couple of other dogs since then, but Buddy he's just always there for me. Always got the love.
Yeah. Kristen, did you have anything else to add? I know you shared a little bit.
I don't think so. I guess just going back to what Sandra was talking about, and I see Justin talking about it in the chat as well, it's just how invalidating it can be if someone gives the wrong kind of support, and there's just, I just want to say I see that, I see and I recognize that there's so many people out there are just utter shite at giving support. They just can't do it. They don't have the skill sets. They don't have, I don't know why. It's uncomfortable for them. It makes them uncomfortable and they don't like being uncomfortable. And like I know someone who he has bipolar disorder and he went through a really, really hard time, a really hard period where he actually started hallucinating. And he opened up to a friend of his to try to get support and he laughed at him. He made a joke about it. And it's because it made him uncomfortable. And it's really hard to be vulnerable when you know that there's people out there like that. It is. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And just going on.
It's hard to be vulnerable when you're really close with someone, because it just made me think, like when I went through my last, pre-hormonal week, I'd chatted with Jilly through Messenger about, oh, it's been shit and it's been the worst one yet, but I wasn't really ready to say exactly what it was like until we, chatted over Messenger, and having that kind of comfort there, okay, I know this person is not going to judge me for, saying the shit that was in my head or talking about how I acted during that period of time. I just think even when we've got the support, it's still hard to reach out. So definitely finding that support in the first place can be very difficult. And we have to be careful. We can't trust everyone. I think everyone in here could say that they've been burned before by somebody who they've been vulnerable with. And we do have to take risks and chances and all of that. But it's when you do find that one or two people, even just opening up the first two words, and then it's that person's questions or asking or words that will help make you feel more comfortable, but you've still got to reach out that first time, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I think when we're in that place where we need to process something externally, vent whatever word you want to put to it, we, the person who is offloading, we're not at our most rational, and that's okay. But the person who's receiving it needs to know that that's not really who we are. We're upset, we're angry, and to have a friend who knows that and keeps that is just invaluable.
Yeah.
And they're few and far between.
I think for me, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of people, the most dangerous thing that someone can say is use "how are you" as a greeting, like "hello, how are you?" And it's like you automatically go into that "yeah, I'm fine" routine, and of course you're not. And you use that to put a cover, a shell around yourself, but those layers just keep getting tougher and tougher and tougher. And of course the flip side of that is you're never going to turn around and go, well, actually, do you know what, I'm feeling really shit today, and do you want us to go and talk about it? Because that's not what the person has set themselves up to in that conversation. So I'm always very, very careful of using that phrase, which is just banned around so much and can be really, really damaging.
Thank you for that, Richard, because it really is important what we say. The words we use are really very important, and as well as how we're saying it. I think all of us are receptive people. We're sensitive. We can tell when there's a little bit more beneath, and I'm the kind of guy. I'm a smart ass. It's my channel. I can say that. I'm a smart ass. And I have actually said, Richard, when somebody says, "How are you?" And I'm like, I actually have stopped, and I have actually gone, I'm in a shitty mood, and I'm angry at people. So let me just put that out there. And how do you want to go about this? I'm not angry at you.
Absolutely.
I'm just in a shitty mood. So
I always think of it as, don't ask that question if you're not prepared for the answer.
right. And I'm the kind of person, Richard, who would say, I'm actually ready for that answer. Go ahead. So,
I generally say fine, and my husband he told me what the acronym for fine is. Do you guys know about the acronym, what the words mean, what the letters mean?
no.
So when somebody honestly, he probably learned this in recovery, but he said that it means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
That's good.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I will answer, but I wanted to draw this attention to what Naomi said. This has actually already really helped me, as I don't feel as alone now. Thank you all.
Naomi, you're not alone.
I'm just watching all the comments, and I wish I had the time to respond in writing to them all or talk to them all, because all the comments, the chat that's going on is just blowing my mind. So just please know that it's being seen and it's being acknowledged, and it's really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gosh, it's incredible. Okay, so I better answer my own question. What
do it, Angela, do it.
Support for me means that you acknowledge my experience without judging it. That you say something like, that must have been really hard, or you still look excited about how that experience was for you. I just want somebody to reflect what they saw. That I'm really happy, I'm very sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and just let me sit in my own stuff and keep space. I know for me, when I went into therapy, intensive therapy, and I became aware that I was an emotionless jackass who wouldn't let out any feeling to anyone at all, but I would get everybody to share with me because it's a control issue. And one of the things that I did, and I find this funny now, is when I knew I needed to share something with people, I would actually say, I'm going to share something with you that's really important to me, and it may not sound important to you, but I need somebody to listen to me. Are you willing to just listen and not tell me what I should do? And boy, you say that, you can tell who your true friends are. And the people, I said that to somebody who I didn't know very well, but she is a dear friend now, because she said, yeah, I can do that. And it was like, really? Holy shit. It shocked me to death, because it was like, what? You're actually going to listen to me? It was really, really powerful. So I need to do that less now, that big announcement, that huge banner that says, I'm going to share with you and it's important to me. And okay, deep breath. Okay. Wow, chat, you all are amazing. Thank you, Jen. You're right. It's like, holy crap. I'm going to watch back this and I'm like going, sheesh. So,
Yeah.
And Ishi is appreciating so much the honesty and safe place we are holding for one another at the moment. Thank you. That means a lot, actually. So the last question that we have, I'm going to start with Sandra. And because we're all found each other related to TarotTube, curious about what form of divination do you use, and how does it relate to your well-being?
Okay, I mostly use tarot and oracle. I do have some of the, I always forget what they're called. Kelly Fitzgerald did them. They're kind of like runes. It's like a casting system, and I always forget the name of them. But those sometimes are really good to just put your hand like in the bag and just cast some of them. And you can use them with tarot as well, or you could even, I guess, use runes or witches' runes. But mostly I use tarot and oracle. Because I've got notes here to make sure that I don't forget certain things. I'll use tarot as well if I want to ask a particular question. If I'm having real problems, and like I said, I don't have a proper support system, so I'll use the tarot to try and give me answers. And sometimes it does, and it will make, well, a lot of the time it does, and it will make me see things that I either didn't see or from a different perspective. And so many times it's like tarot has saved me as well as this community and as well as friends. Also, another thing I'll do very often is just pick up a deck and just sit there looking through the cards, not use them for divination at that point, just going through the cards and just looking at each one, or sitting and shuffling a deck. And the other thing that I really like to do that I find helpful is path working, when you actually choose a card and
Where did Sandra go?
You took her out. There she is.
Sandra,
Yeah.
sorry, it was me. It wasn't you. I'm sorry. So you just started with path working. So
yeah.
So tell us that again.
So with path working, it's being able to like put yourself into an image in a card. So you might have a scene, I don't know, in the woodlands or something, and be able to put yourself in there and be able to feel that and smell the trees and the earth and that type of thing. Not everyone can do it. It takes a little bit of practice to do it, and you need to kind of be in a quiet place to do it. But also, I don't have the book with me, but there is a book available on, I know it's available on Amazon UK, it's probably available Amazon US as well, and that is Path Working. It's called Path Working the Tarot, and it's by Lisa Robertson. And we might be able to put that into the comments perhaps afterwards. That could be helpful if people wanted to learn or wanted to know a bit more about path working with cards.
Simon said it's a very powerful practice and helpful.
Yes, it definitely is so helpful. Yeah. And I've remembered what they were called, journey tokens. That's the system, Kelly Fitzgerald's system, the journey tokens. I love using those as well.
Thank you. Wow. And Sandra, my apologies for accidentally kicking you out of the stream.
Okay.
It was me. It wasn't you. I'm like going, oh God. So it's what I get for messing with buttons, as Chris said. So, I have never seen. I have. Oh, and Mindy posted the path working. Tarot spiritual guidance thing.
Yeah.
So and I guess now Jamie and Mindy are battling out who's going to be better with the links.
Well, actually, Mandy, I'm sorry to say, but on my screen, Jamie has come up first.
It's the smackdown.
Love you, Mandy.
Oh God. So Jen, what form of divination do you use, and how does it relate to your well-being?
Yes, so mine is definitely mostly tarot, but again, it really depends on what's going on with me as to what I'll be doing. So using the tarot in general, like when life is pretty normal and typical and stock standard and as much as it gets, I think just having something that's a hobby, having something that you're passionate about, that's fun for you, that's meaningful. You know, I mean, I've done videos on it before, multiple different ways that you can use the tarot, but just having that passion, something to go to, something to do. You know, with the lives that happen now where we're doing spreads and stuff together, that can be really fun. And then there's sort of that flip side. And when you're not in that great headspace for whatever reason, and again, mine really depends. I mean, I've done one reading, and that was the one I did, I believe it was when Jamie was on Wine and Tarot with Jilly. One actual reading in, I don't know, however long I've been down and out for, basically, and feeling like shit this time around. Because I have not had the ability to focus on it. You know? There's been other times where I know specific things with people or issues. I might have picked up the deck and done a specific reading around that and what's going on with it to just help me sort of figure it out a little bit more, to see, you know, if I can get a little bit more objective by having cards kind of in front of me. And then there are those times where I've got nothing. Like, I don't want to hear what the cards have to say, either because of where my headspace is at, and I don't want to get any more shitty news from like pulling the Tower card or like the Three of Swords or something like that. And again, just this last, I don't know, month or more that this has gone on for, aside from that one reading, I've not had the energy. I've not had the energy to sit and put cards down and try and interpret them. But what I have done is I have sat many times and just shuffled my cards, because I find that relaxing. And even though it goes outside the realm of like divination, just being in this tarot room, being in this tarot space, and even if I don't want to touch anything, do anything, just sometimes sitting here is really calming. And thankfully, my beautiful husband, because, you know, when you're sitting around and you got nothing to do, you keep thinking about things and changing things. And that happened to me like the other, well, I don't know, a few days back, week back, about my tarot room, going, I want to change this around again and that around. And I didn't have the energy. So he did it all for me. And, you know, it was just, even though I could only spend 5 minutes of being in here, standing up, putting certain decks in different spots, or, you know, moving this, that, or the other around, I'd do 5 minutes and then I'd be stuffed. It was nice to then see that little space. It was comfort. It really helped, and it really made me feel good. And if this room is not good, I feel really out of balance. If I can't come in here and just sit, yeah, it doesn't feel right. So yeah, again, with my cards, it is so dependent on where my headspace is at as to how I use them. And if it's got nothing, shuffling is kind of my go-to.
Great. Thank you. Jilly.
Well, I have a practice every day where I pull a card. So I will pull a tarot card or an oracle card, or sometimes both, and journal a little bit about that. And then I kind of go back at the end of the day. I set an intention for the day, and then I go back at the end of the day, or sometimes the next morning, and look at, kind of go back on the day and the card and think about that. I have been known, I don't do this all the time, but I have 3 crystals that I absolutely love. I just realized that all 3 of them came from the lovely Sandra. I have a carnelian that the one and only giveaway I've ever won came from Sandra, and she sent me this gorgeous carnelian. I wish I had thought to bring it. She sent me a beautiful rose quartz palm stone and a Preselli blue stone from Glastonbury. And I love, sometimes, for instance, when I felt sad, I just really felt sad on Friday. And as a matter of fact, I spent most of the day in my room. But I laid there with that rose quartz just on my heart chakra. It was amazing how it just made me feel more peaceful. I also like going to, for those of you that don't know, Mr. Honey and I live in what would be considered a tiny house, not on wheels, but it's less than 1,000 square feet. We moved from a 4-bedroom house to this, so there was a lot of chucking and consolidation, but I now have a little teeny tiny corner of my room where my cushion is and where my altar is, and I really love spending time in that place. I have, over the past couple of weeks, all of a sudden, I watched a video on YouTube. It was Shuffle Tarot. Nina, she cast some runes, and all of a sudden, it just all made sense to me. And so I ordered some leather witches runes that came, and I can so relate to Sandra, just like the tactile kind of just picking them up and then casting them. It is very calming. And I will also not so much shuffle a deck, but I will reset my decks. So I'll go get a few decks and go through the cards and reset them all. There's something very satisfying about that.
That's a good idea, actually. And I just want to say, Justin, I noticed your comment where you're talking about the conversation having you triggered. So if it has, I'm sorry, or if there's anything we can address further, please let us know.
Yeah, we may want to consider when Gerald, when you do the afterwards in the description, you might want to put trigger warnings for some things.
Oh, okay. Justin says he was kidding. Okay, I was worried that something had happened.
Yeah, but we did. I mean, we've talked about some things.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. There is a great deal of love for Sandra. I guess she's the only person in our community with a crystal named after her. She's the Crystal Queen. So, Richard.
What was the question? I can't remember.
What form of divination do you use, and how does it relate to your well-being, Mr. Smart Alec?
It's really interesting because coming into the tarot community, it's then branched me off into other areas that I would never have thought of, that I personally would be using to sort through, my welfare and bits and pieces. So through this, I've often talked about this, the Glastonbury Unity candle. So for every night at 9 o'clock in the UK, I sit for 5 minutes just with a candle in my sacred space, just sending out good vibes. And there's also a chat through Facebook that you can join, and just for 10 minutes every day, that's my time for me to recenter, or try and redress and balance myself before going to bed. And then from that, I've started to really get into crystals, and I still a lot more to learn about crystals, but I now carry some little pouches with different crystals in, depending on whether I think I'm going to need them for the day. So that's something that I've just discovered, or discovered in the last 6 months, and again, that's really helpful. I'm a tarot chap. I've got a few oracle decks, but I tend to be mainly tarot. I do a draw just before going to bed, a card of the day, and I've done it religiously. I've done it. It gives me something again to do in the evening when it's my time to do, and I do wonder how much I use it to preempt what's going to come tomorrow, if that makes sense. And it's almost like having a bit of a heads up warning. Tonight I happen to pull the Tower card, so when I wake up tomorrow, I have it so that I can see it, and I'm just going to go, well, it might be a Tower day, but I'm ready for it if that's the case. Where I do flick through decks, I do reorder decks, but what I have noticed, the decks that I use when I'm feeling a bit low are decks that don't have any human characters in them. So they are either silhouette, or they will just have pictures of nature and be set around a different theme. So I think that's really interesting, that when I'm feeling that I feeling a bit low, feeling a bit dark, the cards I go to don't have any humans in there, or at least recognizable humans in there. So that's something I've noticed, and I'm beginning to also add that to my decks, so that when I look through and start to buy some decks, even if they're second hand, I do have a good look through now and go, is this a deck that you would use all the time? And so I do question the decks that I use. But that's been really interesting, and it's nice to have some decks that just I use when I am in a situation where I need a bit of a pick-me-up, or a bit of a calming situation, as opposed to the other decks that I might just use on a general basis.
Thank you. Kristen.
Well, I think the tarot has all been covered. I would just be repeating everyone else, so I won't go into tarot. But I know that previously what has been really nourishing is doing shamanic journeying, which I'm hoping to take up again soon. Now, I'm going to be doing it. Not hope, I will do it. And so it's just drumming. So I would do drumming that would get me into a meditative state. And then basically you go down into, you visualize going down into the underworld, and then you meet your spirit animal. And mine is a black panther. So it's always a black panther that appears, that comes out of a cave. And usually there's a gift exchange involved and some wisdom given. And so yeah, that's other than tarot, which is the main one, it would be shamanic journey.
Excellent. Thank you. Gosh. Sometimes I don't use divination when it relates to my well-being. Sometimes I don't want to be bitch slapped upside the head and told, get up off of your lazy ass and do something. Stop procrastinating. You're just avoiding. Am I the only one who does that? Sometimes I don't even pick up the cards. But what actually, I'm just like, everybody's quiet now. I'm like going, oh my gosh. I will actually light incense, and I actually have some liquid smudge that I will do, and then I will shuffle the cards. And I've gotten into the habit of doing a daily read, and I needed to switch that up a little bit because I was bored with it. I wasn't getting any insight, so I changed. I mixed up the readings, or I'll mix up the different deck. But and sometimes I will make up readings. I'll just make up spreads about what's going on, and I like that because I figure divine is going to tell me what I most need to know, and I've worked it out to where in the way that I can handle hearing it. So, but yeah. So, okay.
Sorry, I went silent when you were talking, Gerald. I actually spaced off. It was my ADHD, so I didn't actually hear what you said. So when you're like, "Oh, everyone's quiet," I'm like, I disappeared. My apologies. So I don't even know what you said. So
that's okay, because I burn incense, I liquid smudge, and sometimes I change what I'm reading, because sometimes it's hard. So anyhow,
I love that Kristen was just honest about that, saying that, hey, I just zoned out. It was my ADHD. It's not that I think anybody's boring or that I'm, not into this. I'm just, it's just what happens sometimes.
Yeah. And did we talk about at the beginning that we were possibly going to do an ADHD one as well?
Yeah. So that's a potential one on the table. So
So we are we're at an hour and 36 minutes. So this has been incredible. It doesn't feel like that to me, but
there's just so much I wish we could respond to every comment and go here all day.
Yeah. I thought it would be nice if anybody would be willing to pick a card or something like that for the group and those who are watching. I would let you do that. And Chris had a question. Can I ask, is ADD and ADHD the same or similar? Jen, can you take a stab at that?
Very, very similar. One is, everything's changed in the diagnostic manual now. But ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which they all technically come under now. ADD is attention deficit disorder. So pretty much the same symptoms, but without the hyperactivity aspect of it. So in adulthood, the hyperactivity is generally not as visible, and that hyperactivity side is what I guess that stereotypical aspect we think of with kids who are in the classroom, up on chairs, can't sit still, that kind of aspect to it. But yeah,
and I have inattentive ADHD, which means I'm not physically hyper, I'm mentally hyper. So it's just like so
yeah. So anybody want to pull a card for the group?
I've got cards here if you want me to.
Sure.
Does anyone else want to do one as well?
Thank goodness, Hen. I don't have a deck.
You do it, Jim.
Yeah, you go for it.
You do it for us.
What do we need to know to end today's session? What can we take away from today?
I've got you on solo, so you can show the card.
I had to work out which card it was. No, it's the 5 of Wands. The Astaratari was like the closest one to me. And I think this is a very interesting card. we associate this card with minor conflicts, but in a sense, that's sort of what we're talking about. This conflict that we have going on with our well-being. And I particularly like the snake here because I'm sorry, I should have given a trigger warning to anyone who doesn't like snakes. When I think of snakes, I think about that shedding the skin and the renewal that comes of that. So we've got these 5 wands kind of about the conflict, I guess, we can experience in our own minds, in our own well-being, physically, psychologically, emotionally. But the snake is like that shedding, and I almost see that as what we're all doing here, not just those of us who are here live, but everybody in the chat, because we're all opening up more. Everyone's been very vulnerable. Everyone's let a bit of that guard down today, I think. Yeah, so I really like this card for that message. If anyone else wants to add to that.
No, I totally agree. I was going to say about the shedding of the skin of the snake, and the whole image of the snake. And as you say, it's a trigger, but it's so often used, the snake, as a symbol of, darkness and difficulties and perhaps evil. And it's just interesting to see how the 5 of Wands has come in with that one. And as you say, I tend to think of the 5 of Wands as general kind of people going a little bit too far, overstepping the mark, or doing, sort of bit storming a teacup kind of situation. And it is really interesting how it's come out for tonight for us to think about what we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like the 5 of Wands because it's an exchange of energy is what it's about. And what we've just done is, it's like Jen said, we've just shared, and it's been very powerful, I think. So I'm hoping people feel the support of us being willing to share. So thank you all for attending. Anybody have anything to... Oh, what do you got?
Sorry, Sedana just asked me to show the card back.
Okay, I'll get solo. Go ahead.
Deanne's made a nice point. She said snakes can symbolize medical and healing support as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. Anybody want to add say anything before I sign us off?
No, I just thank you for putting this together.
Yes,
it's been great, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Like I said earlier, I've been watching the comments. I wish I could respond. You've been incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much in the chat for being willing to share, and thank you, Gerald, for hosting.
Oh, you're welcome. So in the link below, remember, asking for help is a good thing, and there's links to organizations that can provide that. I will. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have something with the quarantine, and you need to subscribe to everybody's channel because we're not sure which channel it will show up on. So please do that. So we have quarantine.
And I think that's Richard and me and Hen, because we're going through it. We're on different continents.
Different continents.
Yes. And then Jilly, Sandra, and Zane are doing the trauma one. Body image, Kristen, Zane, Richard, and Jen, I believe. Self-compassion, Jen, Jilly, and Gerald. So thank you all. You've been amazing. And I will post these 3 questions below. And if you want to, I've created a hashtag or a playlist on my channel for the hashtag working towards well-being. And if you do something, tag that and I will add you to that playlist. So you have already been, you all have been amazing. So thank you very much. And if the 6 of us can stay on for a minute, that would be great. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.